everyone. Today we're going to go over how to place a Medbank request in the new Epic EMR system. This is a brief instructional video for all clinical staff and will focus primarily on the workflow from the provider's point of view, but can be useful for everyone. There's also an associated tip sheet which has all of this information outlined for future reference, or you can reference this video if you need any assistance. Today you can see we have a test patient checked in for our appointment, Medbank demonstration. So if we just double click on the patient, it will bring us right into the visit. Within the active encounter for our test patient, you'll see that this patient has active diagnoses of both hypertension and type 2 diabetes. When a provider decides to start a new Medbank medication, the first thing they must do is document in the notes section the name of the drug, the dosage, and the instructions for the medication associated with the correct diagnosis. For example, for our test patient with their essential hypertension, this provider is deciding to start Adarbichlor 40-12.5 milligrams once daily by mouth. Once the new Medbank medication is appropriately documented in the plan of the encounter, the provider can highlight the instructions and copy them to make their life easier. The next step is to create a new FYI flag. FYI flags can be seen to the right of the patient's image in the storyboard, but if no FYI flags exist for that patient, this area will be blank. To access the FYI tab, you can either click on the existing FYIs, or you can go over to the FYI tab in your toolbar. By default, this FYI tab does not exist on your toolbar, but you can access it by going to the drop-down menu and selecting FYI, and you can add this tab to your toolbar by using the wrench icon. Within the FYI tab for our test patient, you'll see that two active Medbank flags already exist, one for Lantus and one for Trulicity. Because the Adarbichlor is a new medication, we're going to want to go ahead and start a new Medbank flag. So we go ahead and click on New Flag, assign it a type of Medbank patient, and then in the text box we're going to want to follow the prescribed format for our Medbank flags. All that information is outlined in the tip sheet that I mentioned at the beginning of this visit, but we'll go ahead and review it now. The first line for all new Medbank flags is going to be the name of the medication. So in our case, Adarbichlor. After the name of the medication is going to be the status in all caps within parentheses. Because this is a new medication, we're going to go ahead and write new. There's a bunch of different statuses that are all outlined in the tip sheet. They include things like arrived, discontinued, pending, things like that. They're all really self-explanatory. The reason that the name and the status of the medication is on the first line all by itself is because that allows us to easily see within the summary here the name of the medication that pertains to the Medbank flag and its current status. So go ahead and hit enter. The second line is going to be the name of the medication, the instructions, as well as the dosage, which we have typed already in the notes section and we copied it previously, so we just go ahead and paste. The third line and any subsequent lines after that are going to address any changes to the status of the medication. So because we're starting this medication new today, we're going to go ahead and annotate the date and write medication ordered by provider and hit accept. Now you can clearly see that Adarbichlor has been added to the FYI flags as a new Medbank medication. But we're not done yet. This patient still has her diabetes to be addressed, so we're going to go ahead and adjust the dosing on her Lantus. So you can see that Lantus is already an active medication from the Medbank. If we go ahead and click on that flag and go down to the bottom, you'll actually see the status updates on that medication. So it's been submitted, ordered, nurse education's been completed, the medication's been picked up, therefore the Lantus has a status of active. So for our case, we're going to go ahead and adjust the dose from 20 units to 24. So within the notes section of our plan, we document Lantus 24 units subcutaneously at bedtime, spelled correctly. You can go ahead and copy that. We're going to go into the active Lantus Medbank flag. We're going to adjust the sig. And we're going to add a note as well to annotate. Dose adjusted from 20 units to 24 units. And go ahead and hit accept. So the provider here has added the Adarbichlor and the Lantus and updated their FYI flags for the Medbank, but we need to make sure that the medication list for the patient reflects these changes as well. So if we scroll down within the plan section of the open encounter, you'll see the patient's currently prescribed Lantus at the previous dose of 20 units. To adjust this, we just go ahead and click on this pencil to edit and change the dose from the previous dose of 20 to the current dose of 24 and hit accept. For the Adarbichlor, because this is a new medication for this patient and they don't physically have it in their hands, we would wait until the patient picks up the medication. The nurse would then add it to their active medication list at that time. If you wanted to give the patient a sample while they were in the clinic, you would go to Add Order, search for the medication, and go ahead and prescribe it just like you normally would. The only difference is that you're going to want to make sure you hit the sample feature at the bottom. So instead of normal, which would e-prescribe the medication, you want to go and hit sample, and then you accept. After you've completed everything within the plan, the final piece of prescribing Medbank medications is located in the Wrap-Up tab of the open encounter. After you have assigned a level of service and indicated your follow-up plan, underneath here you'll see Send Chart upon closing workspace, and this is how you actually let the Medbank know that you've ordered a Medbank medication for this patient. Under Recipient, you click on the magnifying glass, and under Pools, you type PHC Medbank. If you hit Find, it should come up, and you double-click on it, hit Accept, and it adds them to a recipient tab within the Send Chart upon closing workspace module. And that's the last step for prescribers. Once you hit Sign Order and you sign the encounter as well, that chart will be sent over to the Medbank pool, where they'll be made aware that a new medication was added. They'll check in on the FYI flags to see any changes that were made, and they'll take care of all the further updates within each flag, so ordering the medication, when the medication's received or picked up as well. This is beneficial for all clinical staff because if a patient ever were to call and inquire about the status of one of their medications, the simple thing to do is just go into the FYI flags, look for the Medbank flag associated with that medication, go over to Show History, and you can actually see an up-to-date history of the medication status.